President at UN General Assembly asks world leaders to support Sri Lankan government. Colombo High Court grants bail to Lalit Weeratunga and Anusha Palpita. Presidential Commission of Inquiry makes special statement on submissions made. Doctor and teacher unions to launch strike action tomorrow.
A very good evening. This is Primetime News. I'm Joel Outscoon.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Let's start off with a look at the local stories in detail. It has been an eventful day at the UN General Assembly in New York. Newsfirst's Shamil Razuddin reports.
President Maithripala addressed the 72nd sessions of the United Nations General Assembly this morning at around 4 a.m. Sri Lankan time. The focus of the president's speech was the need to alleviate poverty as well as giving time and space for Sri Lanka following his appointment on the 8th of January 2015.
His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena, President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Over the past 2.5 years, we as a government have worked successfully towards protecting democracy and human rights. As a government, we will continue to work for this purpose in the future as well. In terms of ensuring the rule of law, my government is working towards creating a fair society. In such a background, Mr. Chairperson, I would like to say that at a time of good governance, while strengthening democracy, protecting human rights and gaining the trust of the international communities, winning the hearts of the countries that turned against us, we humbly expect the support of the United Nations in taking my country forward. In our journey to protect the independence and sovereignty of our country, we have had to face many allegations. There have been proposals on how we need to act. As a free and peaceful nation, allow us to take a slow progressive path in order to reach our goals. We request everyone's support for this. Some extremist groups are expecting a rapid journey. Some extremist groups expect rapid, short-term solutions. But as a country which faced a 30-year-long war, as a country which had internal divisions, we request your support to build trust, unity and brotherhood in my country. We need to dispel mistrust, doubt, fear and hatred. That is why I request your support to strengthen my beloved nation, my beloved people, my motherland and move forward as a prosperous and democratic country. That is why I clearly say here that we need your kind support in our slow but steady journey. We all know that a fast-track journey is dangerous. Certain extremist elements want speedy solutions, but based on the complexity of society, I hope everyone understands the risks posed by such actions.
President Sirisena also spoke of climate change.
Not just in my country, all over the world, even the United States of America is facing and battling extreme weather situations. I have to say that it is important to act on the unity created by the signing of agreements in the Paris Climate Accords. We have to keep in mind that the Paris Agreement on climate change and its implementation is important to all living beings on Earth, humans and animals alike.
President Maithripala Sirisena met Pakistani Prime Minister Shahid Abbasi on the sidelines of the 72nd UN General Assembly in New York. During the meeting, the Pakistani Prime Minister had stated that he hopes to improve trade relations between the two countries and to improve bilateral relations. President Sirisena had in turn thanked Pakistan for their continuous support for Sri Lanka at the UNHRC. The presidential media unit noted that discussions between the two state leaders discussed trade between the two nations extensively.
President Donald J. Trump hosted President Maithripala Sirisena and First Lady Jayanthi Sirisena for a reception here in New York. In the next couple of days, President Sirisena is due to meet several high-ranking officials of respective governments. On the 23rd of this month, President Sirisena would be leaving to Sri Lanka from New York. I am Shamir Razuddin reporting for News First from the UN headquarters in New York, USA.
Donald Trump's first major speech at the United Nations has been denounced by some of the member nations he singled out for criticism. Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif was quick to respond on Twitter.
Trump's ignorant hate speech belongs in medieval times, not the 21st century UN, unworthy of a reply.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Donald Trump, President of the United States of America.
If the righteous many do not confront the wicked few, then evil will triumph. The Iranian government masks a corrupt dictatorship behind the false guise of a democracy. It has turned a wealthy country with a rich history and culture into an economically depleted rogue state whose chief exports are violence, bloodshed, and chaos. No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more. Now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
The Emerging Market Committee Annual Conference and meeting organized by the International Organization of Securities Commissions and the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka began in Colombo today. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was present at the occasion and spoke of the challenges in servicing debt from past projects and future plans for the economy.
Sri Lanka economy is navigating through a period of transformation amid global turbulences. From about 2006, our country engaged in incurring a high level of debt, commercial debt of local and foreign, which the government utilized to fund, amongst other things, public infrastructure. The only problem was that there was no payback from such a large number of public infrastructure. So that by 2013, our government revenue was insufficient even to service the national debt. Today, at least our revenues have exceeded the sums required for debt servicing. So next, this 2018 and 2019 are the crucial years for our economy. That's the time in which we have the highest level of debt repayment.
The Prime Minister also spoke on the formation of new legislation.
We are now discussing a new monetary law, which will have the central bank focusing on the essential items and not being involved in peripheral activity. We have the liability management law, and we are already working on creating a national debt office. We are working on a new law on the Securities and Exchange Commission and another law on the demutualization of the stock exchange have been approved by Cabinet.
Now, for some headline-making news, bail was granted to former Presidential Secretary Lalit Veeratunga and former TRCSL Chairman Anusha Palpita under strict conditions today in connection to the silk cloth case.
The bail application was taken up before Colombo High Court Judge Gihan Kulatunga, who delivered the verdict on the silk cloth case. President's counsel Kalinga Indathissa, who appeared on behalf of Lalit Veeratunga and Anusha Palpita, made lengthy explanations regarding the health conditions of his clients and presented medical reports to court. He also pointed out that it is highly unlikely that the appeal filed in the Court of Appeal would be finished in 3 years, which was the time that the suspects were ordered to serve. Senior State Counsel Johanna Abe Wickrama noted that the Attorney General's Department has no opposition to the court granting bail. Thereafter, bail was set at 100,000 rupees each, with the suspects being ordered to place 3 sureties of 1 million rupees each. Court ordered the sureties should include a close relative and a government servant, and that they should be residents of the Colombo High Court jurisdiction area. The duo were banned from overseas travel and were ordered to hand over their passports. It was on the 7th of this month that Lalit Veeratunga and Anusha Palpita were imprisoned after being found guilty in connection to utilizing 600 million rupees worth of funds from the TRCSL for distributing silk cloths during the presidential election season.
Addressing a seminar organized by the Certified Management Accountant Sri Lanka, State Minister of Finance Eran Wickremesinghe spoke frankly on the subject of corruption.
This is a country which has a corrupt culture, whether it's a politician, whether it's bureaucrats, we are a country which has a corrupt culture. And this we must change. And it's not an easy task. But I think people have given a mandate for that change. And as I said right at the outset, right, governments are coming below people's expectations. But that does not mean that we have to give up. We need to make the system more accountable, and therefore accountable on expenditure too. So therefore, we need to continue to question, we need to continue to strengthen processes. We are trying very hard to put online, right, lots of the systems.
The CEB workers' strike entered its 8th day today, and discussions were held to resolve the situation this evening. Representatives of the CEB Joint Trade Union, Minister of Labour and the Labour Commissioner General were present at the discussions held in Narayanpeta.
I have been asked to return. We held discussions with all the parties concerned and reached decisions which would lead to an end to the CEB strike. The necessary agreements are being signed. I believe all the CEB employees engaged in the strike will return to work as promised.
Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy, Dr. Suren Bhattakuda, says the CEB strike will conclude. He added that a 10% salary allowance will be provided to the non-engineering staff of the Ceylon Electricity Board.
Now, the Government Medical Officers Association, with the support of several trade unions of the health and education sector, have planned a strike action tomorrow, demanding a permanent solution be provided to the item issue.
They say the Medical Council does not have to look into medical standards. They say a new council will be appointed to examine it. It was the Medical Council in England that decided whether the doctors that went there from here will be accepted or not. They don't want the Medical Council of our country to take decisions on the doctors of this country. We ask the government not to waste time. Tomorrow the GMOA, together with other trade unions, will engage in a strike action. Begin discussions regarding the recommendations that were provided by the respective deans. If we do not do this, the number of trade unions that have joined us will increase in the future.
None of the students who sat for the 2016 advanced level examination in the science subjects hoping to get into university will have that opportunity. 9 months have lapsed. The students who sat for A-levels this time around will have to wait for 2 years to enter universities. We would like to ask the government whether their intention is to ruin the future of these students.
Steps have been taken to join all teachers and principals to the strike action that will be launched by the health and education sectors. The Minister of Education says that we will be stopped if we attempt to enter schools. We ask the Minister to go and read the trade union ordinance. We have the ability to enter schools forcibly if someone is hindering it.
However, there is not wholehearted support for the strike amongst other trade unions in the health sector. They will not be joining the GMOA trade union action tomorrow.
I recall Dr. Anuruddha saying that the health sectors engage in strikes, but they have developed a situation where they are able to hold discussions with the government and find solutions. He said that the others should be happy about this. We ask the same question from them now. What has happened? Can't you resolve your issues in that manner? The country cannot go forward with foolish ideologies of the GMOA. If the country is to move forward, the children needs to be educated. Opportunities should be created for them here and overseas. Several trade unions that are present here and several others which are not, about 90% of the health sector, will not take part in the trade union action. They have issued a circular saying that the nursing officials will take part in this. They say Ayurvedic doctors, the supplementary services, interim medical services, trade unions will all join in the strike action. Maybe 2 people will join the strike. That cannot be considered as the whole sector. There are 30,000 nursing officials. If 100 of them strike, that cannot be considered as the whole sector participating in the strike. We will prove tomorrow that this is an unsuccessful demonstration.
The Provincial Council Elections Amendment Bill was passed in Parliament a short while ago with a 2/3 majority. 159 votes were cast for the amendment, while 37 votes were cast against the bill. Earlier today, Speaker Karuja Surya informed Parliament that according to the Attorney General, a 2/3 majority was required to pass the proposed Provincial Council Election Amendment Bill. However, the debate on the bill did not go so smoothly.
What is the point of order, Honourable?
This is a serious issue. Under Article 154 of the Constitution, if a bill relates to the actions of a provincial council, they should be informed prior to the bill being presented in Parliament. Thereby, the provincial councils were informed of the 20th Amendment. The provincial councils are not aware of this bill. Honourable Speaker, these amendments deal with the voting rights of the people. You presented it to us this morning and asked us to vote in the afternoon. This is not fair.
Why don't you go and take a seat? This is the parliament.
The public at large had agitated that they want a change of the electoral system, and thanks to His Excellency the President and also Honourable Dinesh Gunawardene has continuously agitated, and he should be the happiest that they are bringing about this change. As regards to women representation in this country, there has been continuous agitation that unless you come from a background where you have a political lineage, you are not entitled to get into, you don't have the opportunity to get into Parliament. This country, money has played a pivotal role with regard to elections. I don't see why these members today are agitating. They have no basis. I respectfully urge all members of this House to support this bill and do away with this preferential vote system.
I want to congratulate the government for introducing this amendment, which goes beyond and ensures the objective of this act to ensure women's representation. The honourable MPs who are disturbing my speech are obviously against women representation. Honourable C.B. Ratnayaka is using unparliamentary language and hiding his face away from me. If he wants to speak to me directly, he can speak to me. Honourable C.B. Ratnayaka. Using filth in the well of the Parliament, and now he turns his face away. So we must thank you, and I want to place on record our thanks to Honourable Udaya Gammanpila for establishing in the Supreme Court that provincial councils are sovereign legislative. No, I'm not lying. It's there in the determination of the Supreme Court as your council's argument.
How can he say provincial councils?
I wasn't saying that. I was referring to Honourable Udaya Gammanpila's position before the Supreme Court.
So how can Udaya Gammanpila, Honourable Udaya Gammanpila can't say that?
The Supreme Court.
How can
that provincial council? So I was
how can Honourable Udaya Gammanpila say they are sovereign? They are not sovereign.
I was thanking Honourable Udaya Gammanpila for
taking
up that position in the Supreme Court.
The position that provincial councils are sovereign.
Order please, the House suspended till 12 noon.
Former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, testified before the Presidential Commission again today. Sofik Farazan reports on Bondgate.
Arjuna Mahendran said before the announcement for the auction dated the 27th of February 2015, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe signalled to him that all central bank procurement must be done in a transparent manner. Mahendran believed this related to government debt and reconfirmed it with the Prime Minister at the Cabinet Subcommittee on the 24th of February 2015. Arjuna Mahendran testified he had reservations of the private nature of direct placements and suggested to the Mantri Board that bonds must be sold at auctions. He said at the Mantri Board meeting on the 23rd of February 2015, it was decided to issue 30-year bonds that very week. According to Mahendran, receiving 20 billion rupees in bids on the 27th of February 2015 auction was a success because it would have given the central bank a chance of meeting the 172 billion rupees due for the month of March 2015. Testifying for the second day, former central bank governor Arjuna Mahendran said that during his tenure as governor, he did not transfer anyone on the view of seeking assistance to himself, to his son-in-law Arjuna Aloysius or Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Arjuna Mahendran also went on to say that he did not gain anything from the issuance of treasury bonds. Responding to a question posed by attorney Harsha Fernando, Mahendran agreed that the removal of the 5% policy interest rates and decision to accept 10.058 billion rupees at the 27th February auction were two significant events of the day. Mahendran said he agreed with the tender board decision to accept 10.058 billion rupees and his approval was required for decisions to be implemented. The officers from the Attorney General's Department who are assisting the Commission filed a motion seeking an adjournment to prepare for the cross-examination of Arjuna Mahendran. Acting Solicitor General Dappula G. Livera noted there are many documents and witness testimonies that they will have to use to cross-examine Mahendran. He highlighted the Commission relies on the tasks undertaken by the officers from the Attorney General's Department and the police. He noted in order for the Commission to deliver justice, the full effect of the endeavours must be taken into consideration. De Livera said they face a contradictory situation as Mahendran has only given an oral testimony and not provided any documents. Attorney for Mahendran, Ramesh De Silva PC, said the AG's department was well aware that his client was testifying and are saying they need more time. Dappula G. Livera responded, saying they are not only focused on the evidence of Mahendran. Taking matters into account, the Presidential Commission granted an adjournment to Friday and also instructed Ramesh De Silva PC to submit an explanation on missing data from his client's phone before noon on Friday.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Treasury bond issue made a special statement today.
The Presidential Commission states Arjuna Mahendran, being a foreign citizen, does not take him outside the jurisdiction and he had to obey the summons. Especially after accepting appointment as Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Mahendran cannot claim that he is outside our law. It notes Mahendran is in a very different position to Arjun Aloysius. Arjun Aloysius appeared in response to summons and pleaded that he is likely to be the accused in a criminal case in the High Court. If he is compelled to give evidence, he may incriminate himself. The Commission says Arjun Aloysius invoked the golden rule of the law that an accused cannot be forced to incriminate himself. The Presidential Commission states it is obliged to keep within the intent and spirit of the law. It adds compelling Arjun Aloysius to give evidence would have resulted in an application to the Superior Court for judicial review. This may have resulted in much delay in conducting these proceedings. The Commission says compelling Aloysius to give evidence against his wishes may have raised a potential question of law, that being the admissibility of the entirety of the evidence that emerges from these proceedings. The statement says Arjuna Mahendran does not invoke any right of an accused or likely accused and is compelled to give evidence. The Commission does not think Arjuna Mahendran is foolish as to not take the opportunity to give evidence and his explanation.
Minister of Highways Lakshman Kiryala convened a media briefing at the Parliamentary complex to comment on the Central Expressway.
We have not granted the tender for the Central Expressway to anyone. Following cabinet approval, the tender is to be given to Taisei Corporation. The decision was taken following a cabinet paper. The Japanese government requested to incorporate Fujita Corporation. The cabinet and the economic subcommittee, which is chaired by the Prime Minister, approved this. The cabinet was chaired by the President. Every time I meet the Mahanayaka Theros, they ask me when will the expressway be completed.
Even though the minister made such a statement to reporters today, on the 15th of May 2017, President Maithripala Sirisena, making observations on the cabinet paper tabled by the Prime Minister, said the proposed process on the matter was in violation of the government's procurement process. The President commented on this at a media briefing recently.
Bring the RDA and the ministry officials together. Invite the media and have a televised debate or an open debate to make this clear. Those who have issues will raise them. If there is an issue, it will be resolved. This is transparency.
Taisei සමාගමට හෝ ෆුජිටා සමාගමට හෝ ඒ දෙකම එකතු කරපු කන්සෝටියම් එකට හෝ දෙන්න කියලා ආපු ඉල්ලීමක් ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට
There is a letter from JEPIC calling to involve both these corporations.
නමුත් ඔයිට වඩා වෙනස් කතාවක් නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ජපාන තානාපතිතුමා කියන්නේ.
You must ask him about that. I am commenting on the letter I got.
Where the JEPIC letter?
When the Prime Minister visited Japan, the Japanese government made a request from the Prime Minister to involve Fujita Corporation in this project. The Prime Minister gave those instructions to us.
During the progress review meeting, and told the President that I thought a company that has been disqualified by the experts should not be part of a consortium. That is why I told the President that it's not very nice to have a company that was rejected by the experts on the grounds that they didn't have experience, on the grounds that since this road involves a lot of difficult parts, that I felt that it is not the right thing to ask a company that is rejected by the experts
and after all,
to be part of the consortium.
What do you mean about deals with the bidders? The funds come from Japan. I believe I am a citizen of this country even though you don't think so. The bid is given to Taisei Corporation after calling for tenders. The money comes from Japan. If we need to give it to Taisei Corporation or Fujita Corporation only, we would not have a need to call for the tenders. Mahendran Rajapaksa was building the Southern Expressway.
Please let me.
When Mahendran Rajapaksa wanted to give it to one person, he did not consult anyone. He presented the paper to cabinet and granted it. It refers to the Southern Expressway and the Katnayaka Expressway.
සමාවන්නේ මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ ඇමතිවරු මේ කොන්ත්‍රාත්කාරත් එක්කලම ගනුදෙනු කරනවා කියන එක ලියුම් වලින්.
මොකද ඇමතුමාම කිව්වා මේ මාධ්‍යවේදීන්ට හෝ වෙනත් අයට මේ සම්බන්ධ ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් එකක් නැහැ කියලා. අපි නොලෙජ් එකක් නැහැ කියලා. හැබැයි දැන් එහෙම වුණොත් we are asking from them.
On the 17th of June, a consultant by the name of Chaminda Silva addressed a letter to the minister citing that the assessment process was marred with irregularities and it must be reviewed. The consultant who instructed the minister was present for today's media briefing.
Chaminda D. Silva කියන්නේ කවුද?
He is a consultant to the minister.
එතුමා ඉන්නවද මෙතන? ඔබතුමා මේ සාකච්ඡාවට හිටියානේ? Fujita එකේ සහ Taisei එකේ නියෝජිතයන් අමාත්‍යවරයා සහ මේ පැවැත්විච්ච මේ සාකච්ඡාවට consortium එකක් කරන්න කියලා කියප එකට.
I'm not aware of the meeting. If you have the minutes, please direct it to us.
විශ්වවලට වඩා වැදගත් නේ එමත්තුමා මේ ගෙට ගෙට යන ලියු මිනිස් නෙමෙයි මේවා වැදගත්.
මේ ඔබ අසං කරන ලියුමක් තියෙනවා. මේක ඔබ අසං කරන්නේ Chaminda D. Silva Consultant Ministry of Higher Education and Highways. මේ දෙකෙන් කොයි පැත්තටද ඔබතුමා කන්සල්ට් කරන්නේ? Highways ද? එහෙම තියෙනවද?
මම හිතන්නේ අපි දෙකටම මේකට උත්තර දුන්නා නම් මගේ
ඔව් නෑ මොකද ඔබතුමාගේ නිතියේ
පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න කරුණා මගේ මේ මොනවද ගැන මම හිතන්නේ දෙකටම දලත්තර හොඳයි මම
The minister has appointed two consultants. They were appointed by the ministry. This is one consultant and there is another Dr. Gunawardana. Yes, with cabinet approval. The minister has the benefit of appointing consultants for the subjects that are under him. He can appoint anyone he seems suitable for that post.
And finally, in some sports news, Sri Lanka won its first gold medal at the Asian Indo Athletic Championship today.
The cauldron of the 5th Asian Indo Games is burning behind me, and there's one more week to go, and athletes from across Asia and Oceania are vying for medals from across the board. Sri Lankans were featured on today's game as well. And I'm right now at the Olympic Stadium, which is hosting a number of athletic events.
Sri Lanka's track event favourite Gayanthika Abeyaratne ended the dry spell for the country at the Asian Games by clinching the first gold by recording a time of 2 minutes and 5 seconds at the 800 metres women's final track event. Indranil Herath, also one of Sri Lanka's favourites, won a bronze medal at the 800 metre finals today by recording a time of 1 minute and 49 seconds. Amila Vijayalath, who won the first ever medal for Sri Lanka yesterday, received his silver medal, which he won after recording a distance of 7.45 metres at the long jump event.
Well, that's all the news we have for you for tonight. I'm Jitendra Gundasena.
And I'm Zola Outscoon. Take care. Good night.